Better Speeches Through Poetry. Better Speeches Through Poetry, David Chambers.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. That line was penned by its author, William Shakespeare, 418 years ago. That, by any definition, is a memorable speech. I'm going to be tickled pink, which apparently is the definition of being well tickled, if you remember this speech next week. But my goal, and I am sure many of yours, is to be able to come up with speeches that are memorable, well beyond the moment in which they're given. And for this, my friends, if this is your goal, lend me your ears, because I have some tips for you. And I turn to the poet's toolbox, and I share them with you. When you think of poetry, the first thing you think of is rhyming. And the second thing you might think of is meter. We're going to throw those both out. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. We're going to talk about something far more important, because what really is the poet's job? But to select the words so carefully that the words that they choose carry more weight than they normally do. It's a matter of trimming away the excess. So the tool that we're going to talk about tonight is the poet's trimmer. Trimming words, of course, but trimming ideas as well. And this is not a normal way of thinking for human beings. In fact, if you talk to a 5 or 6 year old fresh from the theater and you make the mistake of saying, "Hey, how was the movie?" you better have 90 minutes to listen, because they're going to tell you everything that happened in the order that they remember it, and they're smart enough to remember the details, but not yet wise enough to realize that what they really want, what you really want in asking that question, is a summary of the big concepts. They haven't yet learned to trim. But that's our job as speakers. Let me give you an example. A very powerful orator lived 100 years ago. He was the 28th president of the United States. And he led the United States and, in fact, the world through World War I. His name was Woodrow Wilson. And once, giving a very successful speech in front of a joint session of a very divided Congress and coming away successful, his aide asked him, "How long do you spend to prepare for that speech, for a speech like that?" He says, "Well, it depends. If you want me to talk for an hour, I'm ready now. If you want me to talk for 5 to 7 minutes, I need a few days to prepare. I need a few days to prepare." Trimming away the excess. It's a discipline. It's like a muscle. It always has to be used. So I have 3 ideas for you, 3 tips that I'm going to share, things that I think have worked well for me, and I hope they'll work well for you. Tip number 1, trimming the excess. Write every day. Now, the best way to do this is first thing when you wake up. Write for 10 minutes before you go brush your teeth, or you take that first pee if you can hold it. And if that habit is too hard to do, I've got an easy one for you. How many here write at least 1 email a day? Raise your hands, please. At least 1. You guys are lying over here. How many of you proofread those emails before they go out? Ooh, you guys are on the way. That's exactly how I practice my writing every day. So write every day, number 1. Number 2, practice the ancient art, the Japanese art of haiku. Do you know this art? It's a story in 3 sentences. The first sentence has to be 5 syllables, the second 7 syllables, the third 5 syllables, an entire story in 17 syllables. It's a great practice for learning to trim away the excess. Let me give you an example of one from Caleb Brown. Do you know Caleb Brown? Great poet, fun, young guy. This is called My 10-Cent Haiku. My shiny new dime. We'll be best friends forever. Look, an ice cream truck. So write every day, practice haiku, and third, and I owe this to my suddenly not in motion friend Stuart Murray, practice, once haiku becomes too easy, practice the 6-word novel. 6 words, tell an entire story in 6 words. Challenge yourself for this. This is hard. It was popularized by Hemingway, who came up with the following. For sale. Baby shoes. Never worn. I know. But that's Hemingway. It doesn't have to be depressing. So in closing, let me tell you about another artist who was really adept at trimming the excess. Michelangelo. And he did it in a literal sense because he was a sculptor. So talking about trimming the excess, he told somebody once that his secret to success was to start with a stone and trim away everything that didn't look right. Well, that's not very useful, is it? Not for a novice sculptor. But he went on to say, every block of stone holds within it a beautiful sculpture. And it's the artist's job to set it free. My fellow Toastmasters, lend me your ears just for another few seconds and bear with me as I share this idea with you. Every complex topic has trapped inside a beautiful speech, and it's our job to set it free. Mr. Toastmaster.